Also, she comes through to just help us with, to understand these things that happen, especially when it comes to the law. And this morning we are touching on equal rights under the law. Good morning.
Good morning, Erica. How you doing?
Ecstatic.
Oh yeah, you look it.
I
How is the
definitely
weekend?
don't.
No, you're looking gorgeous as usual.
The
How's
weekend was fine,
weekend?
energy filled. Fill us in quickly on the Ziffer thing. Well done.
Oh, ha. Not online. Not online.
Not on the air.
We're supporting soccer, and Nakana like she was posting being at the match yesterday, and she's splashing about it.
She's living the lifestyle. We hope to see her, be representing the rest of high school sport.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's just soccer tonight. Soccer.
I'm gonna start doing this soccer thing. Twitter has given me energy. I'm gonna get into soccer. I'm gonna ask for a couple of minutes, in the sports, in the daily sports zone.
Yeah,
1 or 2.
There you go. No, soccer is the deal.
Equal rights.
It's the biggest what's name in sport in Zimbabwe. So.
Also becoming a culture, we were saying.
Quite so. Yeah. Quite a lifestyle. Yeah.
Let's get into equal rights, because we've got to manage our time as well.
Absolutely. Okay, so getting on to the legal matters after soccer. Okay, today we want to talk about equal rights. Okay, and I thought that it was very relevant because this is the month for women. It is Women's Month, and it was Women's Day on Saturday, and a lot was happening, and I was excited about that. I actually went for an expo, right, which was just showcasing all these organizations which are involved in promoting women's rights, particularly. Okay, so maybe we will start with and that was it was being run by the Law Society, by the way, which is exciting for me to see that our body is actually pushing for these rights, right? And so I will say, what is the legal term defining equal rights? And that is the legal right to be treated equally, regardless of your age, your sex, your race, disability, religious beliefs, etc., plus. Okay, so what we're saying by that is essentially everybody deserves equal opportunities for equal qualification. So you can't say somebody is a woman, and even though they're qualified as a doctor, they cannot be called a doctor because they're a woman. You can't say because somebody is black, even though they qualify as an electrician, they're not allowed in this room or they're not allowed in that space. And this used to be a reality, by the way. I think we're going to look at it historically. The second thing we're saying is there must be equal remuneration or equal salary for equal effort. Okay, so if I'm going to put in as much effort as everybody else, you can't then say no. There's an issue, Erica, you could derera somebody younger than you. And I think that's something that actually I would like to talk about, because we have the challenge in the workspace where you have a senior, let's just take a lawyer, okay? You have a senior who is 26 years old, okay? She, by virtue of rank, she is senior. She's 26. But her PA or her secretary or the, the accountant, let's just say, is 46. Okay, and yet more junior wake. There's that big issue with age. Aiwa, kana takubasa atikutombotarisa kuti how old are you or how young are you? We're looking at qualifications and rank. And people need to be treated according to their rank. And I actually remember, speaking of that, when I joined the law firm that I'm at now, I was very, very young, like green as the leaves, and literally, I think I was the second youngest, all the secretaries were older than me, everybody, all the messengers were older than me. And I had to stamp my authority, so essentially, people were tempted to just go, Nyari, okay, what is Nyari, and your instructions are also taken with the same, looseness. So I was like, no, I'm not Nyari, I am ma'am. Okay, so everybody refers to me as ma'am, no matter how young I am. And I will call you by your first name, so I'll say, okay, Iwewe Ningi, Iwewe George. if you are, and then you call me ma'am. It was almost disrespectful. It was met with a, like, what on earth is that? But you know what? Over the years, it has helped everybody know their place. Kumba. Kana tapa rufu, magade Mr. Chakuti, it's a different setting, But kana tukubasa, my age should not cause any kind of discrimination. My sex, and I'm saying sex, not gender, because gender, when we say sex, we're meaning, are you a female, are you a male, okay? So that, again, should not be an issue, kubasa. Yeah? And moving on with that, I want to get into the question of the difference between equity and equality. And to try equal rights. So, if you say equality, it's treating everybody the same, but it's also assuming that everybody is coming from the same place, right? So, let's take the woman of 1990. The woman of 1990, anogona kunzi, aiwa, munhu wese arikupinda kuchikoro, tichingona kuti kana zvida kupinda kuti uite law kana medicine kana chichi tikuda 13 points, 14 points, 15 points, anitika. Then vachibva vazonoti, aiwa, that is equality. You are treating people the same, but it's not equitable. Why? Because munhu arikuuya from 3 meters behind, behind the starting line. So what do we do in order to push everybody and to get them to start at the same level? Ndopanozopinda nyaya yechinyi empowerment. Ndopanopinda nyaya affirmative action. Ndinopinda nyaya yema-quotas, where you say, because there was a time when a woman was not allowed in the boardroom. In Jitoripo, it's a reality. You have to start by accepting that, okay? I was just not allowed in that space primarily because I was a woman, not because I wasn't intelligent or qualified, no. Vakadzi. And because of that, we have far less women than we should have had things been different in the boardroom. Quota, right? Every 1/3, and I'm just saying this, out of just, every 1/3, right? It's at least 33% of women presence on the board, or in parliament, or on the bench, kuma judges, whatever, whatever percentage they come up with. Ndo inonze affirmative action. Kuti tagamchira shua kuti yo, Vakadzi mama kati usara, and mama sina kusara because magapusa. Mama sina kusara because I'm not kudzidza. Mama kasara because of just the general prejudice yanga iripo panguva iyoyo historically. And because of that, we want to push you forward and give you an equitable chance or come up with an equitable result. Not equal, because sometimes equal is not equitable. Okay?
They both represent fairness, but they both represent, they're quite fumbling words if you, Both of them represent fairness, but the other one is to then measure to the other people's with equality.
Exactly. There's
I get
an
you.
Interesting.
It is an interesting twist with those two words. But
it is, actually, but I remember seeing an illustration where you have somebody who's like 5 foot tall, another one was like 5'5", another one was like 6 foot tall. And then they all wanted to like look over the juror wall. Saka chikanzaiwa toda equality. Saka toda mastools akaenzana. So each one of them akabvamira pane an equals to, but still angari 5 foot tall uyu. Nditika angasiri kuona because mufupi, and vamwe vari two, the other one could barely see, the other one was able to see properly. And she but my stools they say are equal. You get what I mean? So kuti mushika pa equitable. What's name? You have to make this tool yemufupu a bit higher. Yes. So that manozoshika pane an equal level kumsorogo. So it's interesting.
It's interesting. I do know that I can actually stand on it. I do know that in 2013, the quota in Zimbabwe actually suggested that the National Assembly gives at least 60 seats to women in parliament.
Nice.
So I think right now, as it's sitting as of 2014, we've got 29% of the National Assembly.
So they're pushing.
Women. So they're pushing the same thing. Exactly. Our government, not they. Our government is pushing towards this. This talk about equality under the law. Yeah. So it's not something that's not happening in Zimbabwe as well.
I totally hear you. And speaking of that, I'll be just a little controversial. It then turns out, and I know that this was something that was said by the previous president, who said, Kuti, you people isusu takakupai masits akadai also in parliament, but zvatiri kuona ndezvekuti madzimai acho, you know, if you are saying kuti takasara, madzimai achona varikutovhotera varume futi, hamusi kuvhoterana, you know what I mean? So when you think of that, like sometimes, you know, I have said this and I'll say it again. Sometimes the biggest challenge that we have, inyaya yemadzimai anobatira mamwe madzimai. So we can shout about
that is heavy.
Equal rights. Yeah, we can shout about equal, because we have to be fair.
I'm going to ask you to please slow down on that. Say it again. For I think let that be engraved. Yeah. Because it's no longer a misogynist issue that is big anymore. It's us.
It's us.
Toward each other.
It's us on us. You know.
Yeah.
Hey. And totally. So let me repeat it slowly and say, okay, Kuti. Sometimes it's not so much Kuti men varikubatira madzimai. Isusu madzimai tise tiri kutobatirana. Mukapiwa 2 candidates who are equally qualified. Tinongoona fanika murume ndiye anofana kuendapo, you know, pachinzvimbo. Ende totofanira kuona munhu ane sutu. Chero pakuparidza chaipo you notice kuti women preachers, they're not given as much. Zviri kuuyawo, like you're saying, out of 60 seats, tiri pa 29, and that's what you're saying. It means there's some traction that is happening. But it could be so much faster because I think as a population, there are more women than men anyway. So how come I said to the by 50? You know what I mean? By 50%. I mean, come on.
Before people come for me, advocate, I said that we are holding 29%, and the National Assembly requires 60 seats for women. Before someone comes for me.
Right, and then says, okay, so then we'd have to work between the seats and the percentage.
There's a percentage, but then the seats toward the National Assembly.
That's all right. Yeah. So I can do it, but all I'm saying is, Kuti, if we are on 29%, that's amazing, because, you know, that's already almost a third, you know. And so that tells us the structure that is happening, and I'm happy about that. But I think the message that we have in this Women's Month, can we start supporting other women as well? Can I
clap hands for you?
Yeah, please. Yay. Yay.
Because I hear so many things about so many different organizations, and the problem is woman to woman. And hence I said it's not a misogynist thing, it's just the other women.
And with women, we're very competitive. People must understand that.
More like inferiority complex.
It is. We don't like anyone who looks like a better specimen to ourselves. Yeah, you know. Erica, if a woman goes to church and they find another woman wearing the same dress, I know to share. But if it's men and they're wearing the same suit, they just go, nice suit. And they get on. You know what I mean? So I think we really are. That's who. But then I think the message today is to say, in this Women's Month, after Women's Day on the 8th, guys, let's support each other, okay? And kana mumwemkadzi ari kubatirirwa in a marriage, let me just say that. If a woman comes to you, ndiwe mai urwadzano, ndiwe mai doka, ndiwe mai chishanu, whatever, right? Kana kauya chiti, I am suffering domestic violence, you know. Tokumbira kutaridza maring yenyu. Muchiwadza how long you've been in marriage with the same abuse. You know what I mean? Your abuse doesn't have to be my abuse. Just because you were taking abuse does not mean that I have to take abuse, because that is you making that like a common sort of like it's a common occurrence. Like go out there. No, that is not true. No one should ever suffer abuse in a marriage because somebody else suffered abuse for 35 years. Akapeka ring yoyo, you know, maybe the ring was important to you, kunzimisis, but inini, don't put it on me and don't make that advice to me. Right. So, and I'm still talking women on women, you know, because I'm giving wrong advice, you know. Oh, okay. Now I'm hyperventilating here.
Okay. I wanted to actually say that back to you to say, I've always found there's those complexities between the law, morals, and emotions. And I think one of the most touchy parts of any bill, of any charter, of any constitution always has that complexity between emotions, morals, and what's actually right. So I think for the sake of this conversation, we must also ask for reforms and solutions that maybe the law or the government, whichever one you can touch on, has for us as, I don't know if it's as a nation, as women, to just maybe drive this out, because which is what I'm trying to ask.
Yeah.
If I go, can I even go to the police station and say, listen, you know what, Lewa did this because we were women and she doesn't like me, but it's not right and it's a workplace and I should be able to have rights under this. Do we have reforms that can protect you, women against women, if that's not even a bad drive? Yeah.
You know what is crazy? When we mention it on radio, it's like we're mentioning it because it's real, but it seems like it's very, you know,
watered down.
Yeah, like watered down, like not very important. You know, a big word would be like nugatory. Like it's like a nonsense story. It's like cat fights between women. I mean, Vakadzi, that type of thing. Look, the law, I always say, does not moralize, and the law is not emotional. Saka, the faster you get to a point where you are not being emotional about the law, the better we'll have progress.
So are you saying there are no reforms that can directly protect you from that? You've got to get out of your head.
No, what the law can do is it will say everybody has equal rights. And if you are facing any kind of discrimination, kubasa, because of any reason, like the Nataurais, those, you don't need reforms in law, you need an enforcement. You need to go and get protection of the law, because part of equal rights is equal rights to the law, right? Politically, socially, economically, etc., and also equal protection of the law. So that only doesn't touch on women. I know because it's Women's Month, we are talking about women, but a lot of men have suffered prejudice. You know, I end up complaining about domestic violence, and not only who are suffering domestic violence of all kinds. You know, I remember periods a BP, which they shouldn't be, because you know, who are henpecking and all that. There are women who are perpetrating domestic violence on men, and the men were facing prejudice. I see the stigma. You know, I feel like maybe I can't go. So equal rights is not just for women; it's also for men, right?
Advocate, it would also be ill of us. So maybe before I do that, just as a quick catch up, if you're just joining us, it is the Morning Galaxy on Star FM. We are having legal matters, talking to a lawyer, Nyaradzo Maphosa, and we are talking about equal rights under the law. So what I meant to ask, moving on, is we've touched on equal rights when it comes to gender. But it would be ill of us to not speak of equal rights when it also comes to race and groups and verandering all the other things that fall under that. Nationalities when it comes to workplace. We need to involve all of that in the little 10 minutes that we have.
I know. So we spoke about age, we spoke about women, we touched a bit about men. And you're so right, Kuti, let's talk about Black empowerment, women empowerment. Okay, so historically we had a caste system, and it's in Zimbabwe, and this is like from colonialism, where the white people were right on top, and then came the colors and Indians, and then the black people, as I see, and so foreigners who were white, and you'll notice, like in the workplace, concerning race, honestly, I think the suffering at Trikona or Kuitika, mine, industry. A lot of fight, you know, and sometimes I get down into statistics or anything, so I don't want to be careless about it. But Trikona Kuti, my investors, Mamarkuya, Vanikavarkuya, Vanika position, Kavanakus, and this would dollar power, Kanakuti Chini, you know, like, don't have videos like Kawanda, China, Vanikarkunets and another Shandivago. Because vanenge vari kushika vachishikira panikameka level and this would be protected here kana kuti imari here kana kuti ari kuti iwo uri mushandi, because I think my labor laws edu, they might not be very much aware of them. I think we've advanced so much in terms of labor laws, you know, kuti chero munhu ari mutema rakatokwidziridzwa zvekudaro, maraitsi akatoripo zvekudaro, but mainvestors vari kupinda manje vanenge vari kupinda vasiri kuziva izvozvo, vanenge vatopinda vachitoti uri mushandika, saka chorori chichitondibikira tea chitochairapo, you know, even things which are outside of my employment contracts. And this is talking about blacks, you know, and you know, this is happening in our own country, where we have advanced so much in terms of labor advancement and labor rights of workers.
I don't
That's
know,
an issue.
I don't know what we can award that case to, or maybe it should be addressed case by case, because I've seen what you're talking about, but it's a very thin, like ice kind of case.
It is, which is why I say, look, I don't have
Yeah.
statistics, but if we're talking of black empowerment, it's something to maybe in those areas where the mines, industries, where we do have investors that are coming in, $100 power, we need them, we're working for them, but I still have my dignity, and I'm still protected by the law, right? And so, I think we'll leave it right there,
It's
you
very
know.
touching. We leave it right
I'm sure you've heard what we said. But we can't talk of women's rights before we talk of black empowerment.
Yeah.
And because you know, we first had to be free from colonialism and from slavery before we could start advancing women's rights. So you'll see, in 1980 in Zimbabwe, we got our independence from colonialism, right? And then immediately after that, 2 years later, 1982, we had the Legal Age of Majority Act, which was now saying, women, you're being recognized, you are full human beings, full adults at the age of 18. And that's when women's empowerment now started, right? As well as, of course, affirmative action for black people and for women. And so that to me, that is exciting. And looking at where we are, I'll always compare with surrounding countries, you know, where I have visited. We are so far ahead in Zimbabwe in terms of empowering black people and empowering women and empowering children even. We have now a whole, you know, set of children's rights, you know, because they were like, you know.
Children, and I'm sure we've also witnessed the cases of land reform programs when it comes from the government side.
Yeah.
Just try and level out that equality.
And that's affirmative action.
Yes,
yes,
exactly.
And
so
that's exciting.
We must commend those parts as
Absolutely,
well. To say
yeah. We need to clap hands for that. Yes.
Yeah,
And
so
that's awesome.
we do have
Yeah.
programs like that. And maybe just to, you know, milk out questions that I think the average of us would then have for you as a person of the law.
Yeah.
When we talk about equal rights and we want to bring race into it,
Yeah.
most of the times, which I find not fair, and I might get lashback for it, we want to push the black empowerment and we forget that we have other races in Zimbabwe and they must be protected. You know the law. I can't always stand on black empowerment and be treating maybe a white person differently because the government is trying to work on giving us back some sort of power as black people. Are there laws that also protect the Indians, the whites that are in Zimbabwe, the colors, you know? It's not only black empowerment that we must make noise about.
Yeah.
Does the law, or how does the law protect the other ethnicities?
I love that question, Erica, because you know what, the reality of what is happening is whenever you are pushing one group, right, whether it's women, immediately I hear that there's a big cry, right? This is not just on social media, but even like officially, about you people are promoting the girl child. Who's taking care of the boy child, you know? And unfortunately, it is very true. But I think it's those nuances that come in between all these laws. To look, in as much as there was, you know, there was segregation of women and unfair treatment and everything, when we're pushing all of them, you know, maybe and I'm sure you notice, look, it's an argument that people are advancing to say maybe that's why, you know, like by age group, we have 15 to like 35 even, like men who are just doing nothing. You know what I mean? Like, because no one is taking care of the boy child. I don't know if we put more effort in advancing the girl child and we forgot the boy child, and it seems to be that's the cry that is coming out from men to say, but you know, and these men ultimately they're not even in a position to deal with an empowered woman.
It's also putting down the moral value effect. So we no longer want to be the kind of women that are marriage material, because in our heads we are so empowered.
We're so independent and all
so
that.
So the moral value effect is losing strength toward all of this. But my question was on ethnicity.
It was on ethnicity. Let me get there now. So I was talking about when you're advancing women, men will complain because collateral damage when we are advancing black people, right, advance affirmative action for black people through land reform and everything. I mean, I would know that because I was heavily involved in all those cases, and because of that, yes, it is true, kuti collateral damage and I don't think there's any black person who has a right to treat in an evil way a white person or a colored person or an Indian person or a Chinese person, whatever their nationality. We died for this country, whatever the case may be. So what then the same laws that protect a black person, right, and that protects their equal right, their right to be treated equally, is the same law that protects white people, because we have white people who are Zimbabweans, and even if they're foreigners, and even foreigners, remember, they're protected by the laws in Zimbabwe. So the same laws that go across the board. Equal rights is about protecting everybody across the board. India, across the board. Canada, across the board. Tema, across the board. So the same laws, and really anybody can go and and it's like revenge things. We have had incidents like that. The law takes care of people like that because equality and equity, it goes across the board.
Advocate, thank you so much. I'm looking at the topic. I didn't think it would have so many other weights to it. Equal rights and justice is always something that we will take years to really cover as a people, but to educate those of us that are that are not aware of a lot of these things is something that we try to do every single Monday. So with that being said, thank you so much. And if you missed any part of this session, you can catch up with it on social media at @StarFM_ZW. Advocate, how do we catch up with you?
0771 111 099 771 111 099 and Advocate Nyari Maphosa on all social media handles, or just Nyaradzo Maphosa, and we carry on with this conversation.
In the little minutes that we have, Advocate, I'm going to ask for you in layman terms to please explain ex post facto.
Oh my goodness. I refuse to even get there.
I haven't met a lawyer.
I can't do
who
it.
Really wants to.
I can't do it in 1 minute. But I promise you that when I come back next time, I will have it all. That's the first thing I'm going to start with, because I did a little more than 1 minute to explain that.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Advocate. And like I said, every single Monday we have legal matters and hoping to get nuggets that help us navigate through our lives when it comes to the law. And to do that, of course, I can't do that in my capacity. So we have an Advocate Nyaradzo Maphosa who talks to us on that one. All of this is available on our social media platforms at @StarFM_ZW. I'm still cruising with you through the galaxy until 12 o'clock. We catch up in the third hour. Straight to the top of